Hey, everybody, we're here for a new episode of Five for Talking. We're filming this on Super Bowl Sunday, post Super Bowl. The Eagles won. Spoiler alert. I'm here with Caps, the captain of the show. We're going to talk about some hockey today. Tell them how you feel.
Feel all right. How's it going with you?
Mediocre.
Why is that?
I lost all my bets today.
Really? What
Yeah.
bets?
Mostly about football. Mostly about football.
You bet on KC, didn't you?
No, I would never. Let's start this off by talking about some Four Nations stuff. The score recently posted an article, and I just figured I'd put you on the spot because I know how much you love that. So one of the things that they offer, this is about roster do-overs for Canada and USA. Okay. So one of the big ones is they should have picked Hyman, Shifley, or Tom Wilson over Sam Bennett. What are your thoughts on that? And if so, which one?
Shifley, maybe, but I'm okay with Bennett.
You're okay with Bennett? I mean, I don't mind Bennett either. I think there's worse. I
Definitely
think
would take Tom Wilson.
Yeah, I think there's worse people out there. I mean, I'm not taking Hyman anywhere with me, not
I
even to Chuck E.
mean,
Cheese.
he's having a down year. I don't know if I would take Hyman over those guys, but my guess is that they made the right call on that one.
Yeah. One of the big ones is Thompson over Montembeau, which, yeah,
I think you have more to say on that than
I
anyone
think I
else
take Thompson
because
over any of the goalies they picked,
yeah,
any of them. I'm gonna keep Aiden Hill on the team, but if you're like pick Thompson or this guy Thompson, Thompson or this guy Thompson, like all the way. I'm
I,
not.
I
Go,
not gonna
sorry.
disagree with you on that, bro. Yeah,
Uh,
you hit the nail on the head on that one.
I mean, I don't mind having Montembeau there because I think he's a really good young goalie and getting him some experience is fine with me. I'm not bringing Binnington. I don't even know why he's on the team. Aiden Hill, Logan Thompson, and then any third goalie that's not Binnington is my three goalies.
Uh, you're absolutely right. Um, I'm not sure why they did what they did, but
Apparently, it's because they were on the spot and they were running out of time and they just had to pick three goalies.
really,
Yeah, he even said that if they're the Canada, whoever's in charge of Team Canada, I have no idea. I'm not paying that much attention. Was saying that they wished they could do over their goalie picks again because the deadline was too early.
hmm. I mean, you know, do they even are they even taking this thing even seriously? Like, it's like,
I don't know because
I got a question for you.
yeah, go.
Are you going to give this the attention like that you would normally would in comparison to a playoff game?
Well, considering the fact that I will be in Vegas when this is on, I'll probably be watching the games in the afternoon, drinking at a bar.
So for all those people
Um,
out there watching this video, make sure anybody that's residing in Vegas, you talk to Campos.
yeah, come shake my hand. Um, but I don't care. I'm treating it like it's an all-star game that's lasting for a week.
I would say the exact same thing. I just I don't think people are going to go all out on this.
I think it was meant to be treated as an all-out situation. And then they got the Olympics back. They agreed to a terms with for the Olympics, and they're like, "Oh,
No.
I don't give a shit about this anymore." And it's turning
Yeah,
out like nobody gives a shit.
I,
Excuse my
I agree.
language.
I really do think that they're going to be players that are not going to give 100% because they do not want to get injured.
Yeah, this means literally nothing.
No, you're absolutely right.
What they should have done is instead of doing this stupid thing that they're doing, just run another World Cup. Remember, they used to do the World Cup every like 4 or 5 years, 6 years. They would just have a World Cup randomly. Just do it now.
It's interesting thought. But
At least it's a tournament that exists already within the world of hockey that just hasn't been done for a while. Instead of making up a brand new stupid event, like
mhm.
it doesn't make any sense.
I'm not going to be paying that much attention to this thing. I just look at it as um a way for players to take a break. You
Yeah, but
know?
none of the guys that we need to have breaks are having breaks. Marner's playing, Nylander's playing,
Yeah, no,
Matthews is playing.
I agree. I just I really don't think they're going to give 100%. I really don't. Um, yeah,
Well,
I just
people are getting removed off teams left and right for injuries. Like Petrangelo was like, "Oh, he can't play, he's injured," but then literally played the day after he said he can't play because he's injured.
mhm. Well, I like Crosby's up in the air, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not letting him play if I'm Pittsburgh. And like, I don't know. Do you have anything else for this?
For the Four Nations. I mean, no. It's four teams. It would have been interesting if they had more teams, but it's only four teams, and it's only going to last how long? 2 weeks?
I think it's 1 week.
Is it 1 week? 10
Yeah.
days or something like that?
I think they all face each other once and then there's a playoff.
Wow. I didn't even look at the tournament. I didn't
I
even
don't
look at the
even
schedule.
care. I'm going to be honest with you.
It's
Like I said,
I yeah, I just don't I don't really
the
find it interesting. I just want my Leafs
the fact this is
because I
how I
am a
look at
fan of
it.
the Leafs. I just want my Leafs to come out of it healthy. That's it.
If anyone's ever, or maybe a lot of people watching this might live on the West Coast, but if you're from the East Coast and you go out west, like I'm going to be in Vegas, the only reason I'm watching is because for us, things that come on at 7 p.m. are on in the afternoon there. So it's like you wake up, you go for a swim, and then you're like, oh, I'll watch the Leaf game at 3 p.m. Do you know what I mean? That's like what it is. And then you go out later. It's not like here where it's like, oh, I got to go out and then come back to watch the Leaf game.
Mm.
Like it's the sports are on in the afternoon. When it's a Saturday or a Sunday night there, sports start at 12 in the afternoon and go until 7 o'clock at night. Not they don't
Mm.
start at 7 and go till 10. It's like the complete opposite. Um,
Did you see that thing with the Leafs and the Oilers and how the Oilers are giving them like they're throwing shade at them because they had to start early in Edmonton?
yeah.
That's
It's like
hilarious.
who cares?
Who
Get
cares?
over it. Ovi moves into 11th place all time in points with 1591.
What about the other streak or the other record?
He's very close.
He's very close.
He's
He's
very
what, like,
close.
how long? What is he,
I
15
don't
away
even
now?
know. Here, you want me to bring it up?
16 away? Dude, I you know what? I honestly thought it was going to be next year, but he's got a legit shot to do it this year. And it's going to be
15 goals to tie.
that is amazing. Amazing. Like this.
If he does it this year, I'm gonna say he probably already will be, but he'll be the greatest goal scorer of all time. He's 22 games played career behind Gretzky, and he's right up his ass for the goals record.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
he's gonna hit the same amount of goals in about the same amount of games as Gretzky, which
yep.
makes him legitimately maybe the best goal scorer of all time.
And he's still going.
Yeah.
Um,
And he did a lot of it in the dead puck era.
yeah, no. Definitely. And he's probably going to play another season, and he'll probably be the only person that has scored over 900 goals in the
If
NHL.
they win the cup this year and he passes Gretzky's record, I don't think he's playing any more seasons. I
That's
think
interesting.
if he wins the cup and comes up short on Gretzky or passes Gretzky but doesn't win the cup, you'll probably get another year out of him,
Mm.
maybe two. But if he gets both things in this one season, he's not playing again. I'm pretty sure he'll end on that. You beat the goals record and you won the cup. They're really good this year. They have a legitimate shot at winning the cup. Like they're in my opinion, we'll do our rankings probably next week uh since there's no All-Star game for the second half of the season. So guys look out for that, but they're legitimately top 5 odds for the cup.
There's a possibility that they can be a very, very strong team next year as well.
Yeah.
If they keep all the same players.
And I don't believe any of their major contracts expire after the season, barring Ovechkin, I think.
Mm,
I don't remember actually. I might have to look into that, or don't quote me. Um,
I won't quote you.
don't quote me. That's it. That's all I have for that. Do you want to talk about the Leafs?
Well, I know how high up you are with Mike Morgan Riley, so I'll let you start there.
Um, well, let's start this off by saying the Leafs lost to arguably the worst team in NHL history, the Vancouver Canucks, in this season. Um, in embarrassing fashion.
They were just uh, bland. They were just like lifeless.
You
I
can't
thought they had
face,
good moments, but
but
come
you
on.
can't face bad teams and play like that. Look how well they played really well against Edmonton.
It just bugs the crap out of me because they were missing Quinn Hughes and Demko went down in injury, and you still can't beat them. Like, what the hell?
And
Like,
you just
and,
finished having an amazing game against
yeah,
Edmonton.
yeah. Like, it's really, really frustrating for me when you have a team that's got four awesome players like Marner, Matthews, Nylander, and Tavares, and you only come out of it with one freaking goal.
And you just beat Seattle, who on paper, at least in terms of stats this season, is equal to, if not better than Vancouver as well.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
The Leafs haven't won in Vancouver since 2019.
it's crazy. There are teams that the Leafs do have problems with. Um, Vancouver's one of them. You got Ottawa, you got Columbus for some crazy reason.
Oh my,
Um,
we
but
yeah, well actually we're gonna talk about that in a second. Go.
well, but I just don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't know what the deal is. It should have been a win for them, and they should have been ahead of Florida right now, but they're not, and they just made it a little more difficult for themselves going into this little break. Um, but yeah, I just don't know what
They
to
do it
say.
to themselves. They go on a little two,
They
three, four, five
definitely do
game
it to
winning
themselves.
streak, or even if they're losing, they'll go on like a 5 game streak where they're playing so well that even though they're losing, you're like, yeah, that's the team. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 6 games in a row where they look like the worst team in the NHL. Then boom, a 5 game winning streak, and then boom, 6 more games where they're the worst team in the NHL, and you're like, what's happening?
But then again, it's very clear what the goal is going into the deadline is, and they need a third line center.
And
And
I'm okay. The things that are popping up
yep,
are not making me upset. Cousins, however you say it,
Cousins.
he's a very good player. He's a player that can get you 60 points and be a dominant third line center. This year he has his best face-off percentage. I think he's at 51%, which to most people is not going to sound crazy, but being over 50% in the NHL is very good. Um, especially for a
But
third line center.
I will say this though, if they're able to bring in a guy like that to the team, they need to really consider stretching things out. And what I mean by that is you can't have Tavares, Nylander, and Martin on the same line. Right? You need for some of these guys to drive their own lines, and whether it's Nylander going to the third line or Marner going to the third line to play with that third line center, they cannot be reunited
I
anymore.
think they generally figured out how to they've started the first stage of it, which I think is somewhat beneficial. I don't know how good the line is, but it's somewhat beneficial that they're attempting to figure it out and to let these guys know that like you guys can't hold hands. The three of you can't sit in a circle and hold hands forever. Because like we've now separated Matthews. Matthews has his own line that's all about him,
And it helps
and
Domi because
and
Domi hasn't been playing well.
it helps Domi and Nyes is fine. Nyes is already good.
Yeah.
And then I would say you go Tavares and either Nylander, Marner, and whoever, and then if you end up getting a really strong third line center, if you somehow get O'Reilly back or you get Cousins, put them with the other Nylander or Marner.
It depends who it is. If the third line center is a scorer, I would probably put Marner on the third line.
Agreed,
If it's a passer, then I put Nylander on the third line. All
100%.
depends on who they
If it's a
get.
really defensive player, even I'm putting Nylander on the line
Yeah,
to give.
it's just I can't see this team being successful with
No,
Holmberg as your third line center.
and
You
I think
can't do it.
what you need to start to do once you've done that is eliminate the fourth line to a point where So have the first, second, and third line instead of being like how a normal team would be, where the first line gets 15 minutes and 13 minutes and 11 minutes. Have them all get 12 minutes, and then so that way the fourth line doesn't even need to play the game. You know what I mean? Like your fourth line only comes out to just to give rest to the other lines.
Well, it all depends on what they look like. I mean, if you got like, I mean, there's a possibility that Yonkrock comes back for the
Yeah,
playoffs.
okay, which is fair.
If you got a fourth line with David Camp, Pacioretty, and Yonkrock, that's pretty.
That's fair
That's
though.
pretty
But
good.
listen, the way that they're playing the fourth line, it's not a shutdown line. It's a goony line. Like you have
Yeah,
Reeves out there.
depending on who
It's not.
plays.
It's not. They're not playing it like it's a shutdown line. They're
Yeah,
playing it like it's a scorer slash goon line, and it
yeah,
shouldn't be that. It should be an all defensive unit, in my opinion. That fourth line that
yeah.
you only put out there to shut things down.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what it looks like after the trade deadline.
Yeah, I
Depends if they get
mean
it now.
they have wiggle room now,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
let's see how they wiggle.
Well,
Um,
I want to talk about the positives a little bit. Um, Stolarz
Morgan
came back.
Riley looked good for that one game. So that's positive.
Morgan Riley's looked good for 3 games in a row. I would have to say,
I'll allow
look
it.
good. He's looked good for 3 games in a row. It'll be interesting to see if he keeps it going. He's got a long way to go to come back from that -16. Um, but you know, him being partnered up with OEL is paid off a little bit. Let's see if it keeps going. That first pair is unbelievable. McCabe and Tanev is unbelievable. The third pair, I'm sorry, I'm going negative again, but that third pair is dreadful. Myers and Benoit. Like something's got to be done there, and they need to figure it out. Back to the positives. Stolarz comes back, and the tandem looks great again. So I'll give him props for that.
I'll give them props for that.
Yeah.
The game against Edmonton, he had who was it? Wall was in net? Had like 47 shots on net.
You put me on the spot.
I think it was
Calgary
Wall. I think it was Wall because Stolarz came
was
back the next game.
for Calgary, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Calgary was the second game.
I believe so.
Was it Edmonton was the second game?
Either way, I'm pretty sure it was Wall. I can look it up while you talk, but
But yes, they both look good. And Wall tried to do whatever he could to win the game against um Vancouver. No, I think it was Seattle that he came back, right?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, it was he had 48 shots on net. It was Wall. He made 45 saves.
For, I'm sorry, which game?
That was in Edmonton.
Okay.
And then in Calgary, Wall played again. So yeah, in Seattle was Stolarz.
Stolarz came back for Seattle, yeah. And then, against Vancouver, Wall played well again too. Like it's like, what do you expect the guy to do? They got to score. They got to score.
And okay, speaking of scoring, I don't know if I'm sidetracking you here, but like I'm not going to pretend like he's a bad player because he did get a bunch of assists the other game. But like Matthews, it just looks like he doesn't have that touch this season.
I don't know if he's still dealing with the back issues, or I'm going to say back issues. They didn't really say what it was, but I'm going to say back.
Right.
I'm going to say back because it cannot be his wrist. There's no reason that a wrist injury should affect his skating. But you're right. It does look like he's not himself this year. There were times that he looks really good, and there's times it looks really bad. The Vancouver game, off and on. But I mean, we can argue, like people have argued over the fact that you should have not gone to the Four Nations Cup, rest up, and then come back 100%. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what the deal is. It'll be interesting to see what he looks like after the Four Nations if he turns it up a notch. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with him. And even Nylander at times looks off and on too. Like he didn't have a good game against Vancouver, in my opinion, anyway. Marner just looks all. I don't know. That line should not play together. I can tell you that much.
A
But
fair, they've been okay. It's like a lot of the role players for me have been pretty all right. Like they've been using Matthew Knives weirdly on some of the penalty kills, and he's been playing pretty decent.
yeah,
So
but you can't rely on Bobby McMahon to be the one to score all the goals for it. It's like,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on, man. Like, let's go, Matthews. Let's go. These guys gotta like. Now's the time, man. Well, also the playoffs, but um, I mean,
Yeah, but if we can get the first spot and secure ourselves a game against the poo team that's going to come in, that's what's important because we
like
always have
who?
to face the second team.
But like who? Like
Okay, so
what?
here,
What?
this is
Hold on
our
a second.
segue.
Wait.
This is
Wait a
our
second. Wait a
segue.
second. Wait a second. Wait a second. What if they face Ottawa?
We have to beat Ottawa.
I know they have to beat
We
Ottawa,
okay, look,
but they haven't beaten Ottawa this year.
yes, and that's fair. Regular season, the Leafs and Ottawa is a different story, but in the playoffs, if you look up historically, the Leafs beat Ottawa every time.
Yeah, that was when Joe Newendike played for the Leafs, man. Come on.
Listen, we don't have. You're saying because we don't have Matt Sundin anymore, we can't do it. I want to talk about this for a second, since we're talking about that specific situation. The the Washington Capitals are the exception to this rule, and but at this point of the season, like Winnipeg, we've accepted them as being one of the best teams. It's no longer just like a fluky shit. Okay, you have Florida, Tampa Bay, Toronto, Washington, Carolina, New Jersey, which is like those are good teams, and we've accepted that. In what world did we think that Ottawa and Detroit were going to get the two wild cards with Columbus fighting right up their ass to get to get the spot, while Boston, New York, and New York are out of a playoff spot?
But they're like 1 point away from each other, right?
I
Like
know,
it's
but
still
still,
pretty
it's
tight.
like the fact that it's Ottawa and Detroit with Columbus. Columbus should have been the worst team in the league this year, especially with the Johnny Gaudreau situation. R.I.P.
Gives them like I don't know, maybe they got extra motivation. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. It's like, but they're only like within points of each other. It's not
And it's
even.
fair.
It's
That's
it's
fair.
it's like it's not even set. Ottawa
So
and Detroit.
all the way down, except for Buffalo, every single team is only 5 points out of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And in the West, all the way down to except Nashville, Chicago, and San Jose is within like 10 points of a playoff spot. So like both conferences, there's not a lot of bad teams this year. You really only have Chicago, San Jose, Nashville, and Buffalo are the only teams in the NHL that you could point in and be like, they're really bad.
I know you want to give props to Washington, but you got to give props to Winnipeg, man.
Yeah, you got to.
Jesus.
Absolutely. These are
They,
two teams though coming in.
damn.
We stopped. We didn't want to believe it. We thought it was a phase. Then we did our rankings, our New Year's rankings around Christmas, and we had Winnipeg all the way at the top, and it was like undoubted that they're actually very good. Washington is also very good.
Minnesota took us by surprise a little bit.
Yeah, but then Minnesota kind of fell off, and then they came back and had a good a little run there. So like I'm a
But
little bit in
but
the air about
you
them.
got to be impressed with their play because they're doing it without Kaprizov.
The one for me that I find like I think the LA Kings are one of the best built teams right now. At least on the defensive end of the ice.
Hell of a rebound from last year,
Yeah, fair. Um,
and they just got Doughty back like what a few games ago.
yeah. This is the one though. Dallas for me is second in their division and like one of the top teams in the West. Have you like heard anything about Dallas? Is anyone talking about Dallas? Like they're for a team as good of a record as they have, nobody cares. I don't know. I think if I had to call a pretender right now in the Western Conference, it's Dallas. Like when it comes all down to it, I don't think Dallas is winning the cup. I think they're just regular season coasting along here. Like Winnipeg has been unbelievable. The Oilers are playing really well.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado is quietly making a comeback since they made that trade. Seth Jarvis, Natchez has been on fire. By the way, I learned his name. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, and you got Vancouver and Calgary fighting for that last playoff spot.
Mhm.
Calgary's been playing okay.
Rantanen has been awful for Carolina. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not like they're playing poorly.
No, they won their last game.
That's what I'm saying. They've been all right.
Um,
And like still, I don't know. Let's get it together.
it's really up in the air. Like there's still like I don't think there's a clear cut winner. I mean, I know we talk about Washington and Winnipeg, but going into the playoffs is a totally different animal. Like it's just you just don't know. It's like, um, but for everybody that watching out there, heads up. We're gonna probably do another tier list very, very soon on our picks, but we'll
We
see.
will for sure. What would have been the post All-Star game, but there's no All-Star game, so it'll be mid. It'll come during the tournament, Four Nations face off. I don't have anything else. You have anything else?
So you're going to Vegas?
I'm
When?
going to Vegas.
When are you heading over to Vegas?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. I'll be in Calgary in the first week of March. I was going to try and hit up a game, but unfortunately, there are no home games that week that I'm going.
Vegas has a game on the Wednesday, I think, or the Thursday that I'm there, but I don't know if I'm going to go 100%. I might wait till the last minute and see if there's like crazy cheap tickets because they're trying to fill the seats because
Mm-hmm.
it's like a Wednesday night, and then I'll go, but not 100%.
Well, if all things go well, I'll be in LA in the last week of March as well. So
There you go.
at a Ducks game and a Kings game. We'll see what
You
happens.
better be at a both a Ducks game and a Kings game.
We'll see what happens
All
for
right,
the
that would
West
be
Coast
cute.
trip, for the Leafs West Coast trip.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. But that's
Anyways,
it, man.
that's cute.
That's time for me to go to bed.
Okay, guys, let us know what you think in the comments below and tell us how much Morgan Riley sucks. Peace out.